Hello and welcome to this episode of Cosmic Crow Tarot, where today I'm going to be sharing the first deck in my collection, the one that caught to me before any other deck, the Healing Light Tarot created by Christopher Butler. Now when it comes to when you want to start tarot and you want to get your first deck, it's overwhelming to say the least, because there's so many decks out there. I'm just going to flip it around, you can see the cool box and everything, but there's so many decks out there. Personally, it took me at least 2 weeks to settle on a first deck. Now, a lot of times, as I've evolved and I've gotten more decks and everything, if you're just starting out, you probably want a deck like the Rider-Waite-Smith, because the cards there, they definitely spark your intuition and really give you more insight than a different deck. But I didn't know that when I first started, and this is the deck that really screamed to me, this is the deck you want, and I just kept going back to it over and over. I love the illustrations in this deck. It's a little bit, obviously, I've had this deck for 5 years now. That's when I first started back in 2018, and this is the deck that I used all the time, so the cards are not pristine anymore, I would say, because I've used them, but they're not bad. They're slightly warped, which is why I've showed you before why I shuffle them the way I do, so you can't really cause that when you do it like that. What I thought I'd do in this video is share this deck with you, show you the illustrations on each of the cards, and I went ahead and put them back into order. So we'll have the majors and the pentacles and the swords and the wands and the cups and everything. So let's get right into it. You can tell it's already been opened and everything. Obviously, it's my first deck. And this deck is still very, very much available on Amazon and pretty much anywhere that cards are purchased at, so you can add this to your own collection today, even if it is I've had it for 5 years. You're more than welcome. I'll share the link in the description below where you can purchase it. You can see here it's a nice little box. You can see it pops open like that. You have all the cards inside along with the little white book, which in this deck is a little black book with white pages. Set this stuff over for 1 second. You have the book there, and you've got different spreads and everything in there too, so it gives you an idea of what the cards are. You've got different languages in here too, so even if you're not in America and you don't understand a word I'm saying in this video, you can still read this deck. So we'll set this back in the box and we'll get to the cards. Now, most molds for tarot cards, the way that they make them, there's 80 cards instead of 78, so you share extra things in there, and you have the little card right here, and it says Healing Light Tarot because that's the name of the deck. And then a little offer, which I don't know is still available in the cards today that you'll buy, but it's to join the Tarot Association by Lascarabo. So you've got that information too. So those are the 2 extra cards in this deck. And here are the cards themselves. You can see this beautiful mandala thing on the backs, and that's what's really the main focus in these cards, is that mandala, because it kind of shows up on every card. So we'll start with the Fool here. You can see there's the Fool, followed by the Magician, and the High Priestess. Now, when I first started doing tarot readings, I got this giant book, I downloaded this book on the internet, and it was, I think it was called The Only Tarot Book You'll Ever Need, or something like that. I don't remember who wrote it. I want to say Liz Dean, but I don't know if that's correct. And one of the things I read about the High Priestess was, if you draw this card in your first tarot reading, that means that the gift of tarot and being able to read the tarot is within you. And the very first reading I did, this card showed up. So that has so much nostalgia for me and so much sentimental value. I love this illustration. I love the High Priestess, how she's just pushing that knowledge into the other side and being the link between the veil of this side and the next. And we have the Empress. Like I said, these illustrations, they are the first ones that ever called to me. I love just the abstract illustrations of it, and the mandalas and everything, and the colors. They're just gorgeous. We have the Emperor, and the Hierophant, and the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, followed by the Sun, Judgment, and then the Success of the World makes up the major arcana. And then I don't know exactly how they were set into the box when you first get them, but I've set them up with the Ace of Wands, or the Wand suit first. So we have the Ace and the Two of Wands, My personal favorite card of the tarot, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands, the 5, the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10 of Wands. Now you may have noticed, the 10's a little bit different, but all these cards have those like enthusiastic colors because it relates to the wand suit, so it's passion and fire. And so the backgrounds are very much those fire colors. And I've always personally loved this illustration of the 10 of Wands because it kind of shows just how much you take on, and it's like all that stuff, it's just so overwhelming. It's like you're literally carrying something on your back. We had the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Wands, and the King of Wands. Then we have the Cup suit next, and it's got that blue, kind of like teal blue oceany colors to it. We have the Ace, and the 2, and the 3, the 4 of Cups, the 5 of Cups, the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10 of Cups, followed by the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the King of Cups. Now, as I've mentioned, this is not necessarily a deck for beginners because there's not a lot to make your like intuition go, but it is the deck that I started with, so it is highly possible to use this deck. Like if it calls to you and you're like, I want to get into tarot, then totally get this deck. If it calls to you, then it's meant to be. And we have the Ace of Pentacles next, the 2 of Pentacles, and you can see that this is a card of balance, and they're doing very well at balancing those 2 pentacles, and the 3 of Pentacles. Now a lot of times this one kind of like makes it a little bit more difficult because most of the illustrations of the 3 of Pentacles that we see involves more than one person, and so that whole collaboration is kind of the main focus and meaning of that 3. And here you only see one guy, and so he's in there doing all the work on his own, so he doesn't have that collaborative energy and like inspiration and advice from others that usual 3 of Pentacles shows us. Then we had the 4 of Pentacles, kind of the weight of the world on our shoulders kind of thing, the 5 of Pentacles, the 6, the 7, the 8 of Pentacles, the 9 of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles, the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King of Pentacles. And last but certainly not least is the Ace of Swords, the 2 of Swords, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, 7, the 8 of Swords. And one of my favorite illustrations in this deck. It's like you're trapped in a web of your own mind, a prisoner to the thoughts in your mind. This was a stalker card of mine for so long, so I definitely like can relate to that illustration of just being like trapped by those inner demons and thoughts in your mind. And there's the 9 of Swords, and the 10, the Page of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the King. So you see those colors kind of flow through all the suits of that pink and blue in the sword suit, and the browns and the greens and the golds and stuff of the pentacle suit. And like we said, we had the cup suit was kind of like oceany colors, and it's beautiful illustrations. And then the wand suit, you know, passion and fire kind of have the passion and fire suits. So that is a look at my first deck in my collection, and that's what I feel like I'm going to be doing, like back and forth here, is sharing my different decks that I've gotten and maybe giving you like a little backstory about them. But this one definitely weeks and weeks of on Amazon and other places. I've definitely grown where I purchase decks from anymore, but when I first started it was definitely Amazon, and I had this like giant list, and this is the deck that I always came back to. I love the illustrations. I think they're amazing, and as I went through the cards just now, I'm just reminded of how much I love this deck. And that's why it's so cool to like have these decks and like collect them and stuff, and to go back and see them, because you're reminded of why you fell in love with these decks and what made you love them so much. And it's definitely this deck that I love so much. I love the illustrations there. Like I said, that High Priestess, that's the first card I ever drew, and I was like, yes, this is my passion, this is what I do. And who doesn't love that Magician? That Magician is just full of power and magic and color and just enthusiasm and excitement for life. So this is definitely an interesting deck, and again, I'll leave a description and a link below where you can purchase a copy of it for yourself if that's something that you want. I really want to thank you for watching. I will say that if you want a reading with this deck, then feel free to comment on this video, message me on either of the socials, or book one directly from my website, and I'll be happy to use this deck for your reading or any deck in my collection. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.